Fluoride. It will begin being added to Whangarei's drinking water tomorrow, pending the outcome of a High Court hearing. The Whangarei District Council voted almost unanimously to back down from its earlier refusal to comply with the Director General of Health, Dr. Diana Safati's order to fluoridate by the 28th of March. This decision comes after months of vocal opposition, during which the council faced potential legal charges and fines of up to $200,000 plus daily penalties of $10,000. The council's refusal would have led to a 3.8% rate hike to cover the cost of resisting fluoridation, estimated at nearly $5 million. Whangarei Mayor Vince Cocurullo supported the council's backtrack, emphasising the importance of acting lawfully ahead of the court decision, and he joins me now. Vince, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Leah.
Good to talk again, my friend. Now, you have supported the council's backtrack, but you cast the deciding vote to refuse fluoridation in February and even went as far as saying you were willing to go to prison over the principle of democratic freedom. Why the change of heart?
Well, no, there's still no change of heart there. I still believe we need to basically hold to our principles, and the principles are that we need to make sure our community actually have a say. Hence the reason why we're taking the court case to court, and hence the reason why we're going through that process. Because at the end of the day, we need the court to make a deciding factor on two things. First of all, is the level of the fluoridation that is being requested by the Director General of Health actually safe? And secondly, do they actually have that right to override councils and override their public?
So you are still seeking this urgent interim relief from the High Court. Is that due out tomorrow, Vince?
We're actually hoping for an answer today. I do know that the team have been going since 10 o'clock this morning in court, and I understand they're still going there. So it is still happening at the present moment.
So let's say the court grants the delay. Is that what you're after? What happens then?
So in simple terms, if the interim happens, or the interim injunction happens, that basically means that until the court case is actually heard, we won't need to fluoridate our water.
Okay. And if the court grants goes the other way, if proceeds don't go your way, then fluoridation starts when?
Well, what we have to do is we have to do at least 8 days of testing. Our team has told us that they've got to do the testing. They've got to make sure that the equipment's actually up to code, actually working, actually putting the correct dosing in. So that's that 8 days that the team have actually asked for. They said, look, at a bare minimum, that's what they need. That's why we left it to the last moment to make this decision and go through this process to make sure the team had the time to do that dosing and get the correct dosing correct.
And when you say team, who's that, Vince? Who's working on the dosing?
That's our staff, our water team. They do an amazing job. You know, we have the best water system in the country, and I have to say we've never had fluoridation in their water ever. So this is a new thing for the team, and they've got to make sure they do things right.
If the process proceeds, do you know what what the fluoride level targets would be set at?
Yeah, we've been reassured that they will be between 0.7 and 1.0. Now, that is what we're going through the court case to determine whether 0.7 is actually a safe level or should it actually be lower than that.
And we're talking, that's micrograms per litre?
Yeah, 0.7 is called parts per million.
Parts per million, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because the story I saw would gradually spread through the town's water supply with fluoride levels set to a target of 0.85 parts per million, but you want lower than 0.7.
Well, as I said, at 0.7, we've received evidence from overseas saying that, and this is one of the reasons why we're questioning it, because the evidence is coming out saying, well, actually 0.7 is unsafe. So we're saying, well, okay, we're not determined, we can't determine that sort of stuff. That needs to be determined in a high court. Where you have both applications on both sides, and they fight it out in court to say what's actually safe.
And if the courts come out, Vince, I'm just again, we're playing devil's advocate here. If the court comes out and says, right, we've seen all the, we've heard from you, we've taken everything on board, and we feel that just say 0.85 is safe. This is where we're heading.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Well, again, that's basically where they're not aiming for in the court case, to actually have a definitive answer. again, because we have a very concerned group of community in Whangarei, and actually all over New Zealand, there is a lot of people who are very concerned about the level, and that's why they want to make sure that because of what's been happening overseas, there's several countries which are now banned fluoride. So it's not about the fluoride toothpaste, it's about putting fluoride in the water. And that's where they banned it. So quite a few countries have already done that. And now in New Zealand, these people are coming to us and saying, well, actually, wait up, we don't think this is safe. So we need it going through court to actually prove to who is actually safe.
Yeah, I get that, but you kind of didn't answer the question. If the court does come back and they say, look, we're happy with 0.7 and then we're aiming for 0.85, is the fight over, Vince?
Well, no, there's two parts to it. So there's the part of whether it's safe, and the next part is whether the Director General actually has that right. Because one of the things with the Acts, and the way the Acts are actually written is, Section 116 of the Health Act gives the Director General of Health the total authority to override any council and say they can put fluoride in. Now, Section 23 of the Health Act, and then if you go into the Waters Act and a few of the other acts, it actually turns around and says the water supply, the company that's actually providing the water supply or the water supply entity is actually ultimately responsible for making sure the water is safe.
Right. So you're saying, yes, even though the Director General does have the oversight, because we saw what happened with in COVID times. You're saying there's another part to it that says the water. Part of it, who looks after the water, they also have just as much say? Their responsibility.
Yeah, well, they have a legal responsibility. So, and because the local authorities are actually basic representation from the community, then you need to take the community along with the process to make sure that you've actually followed all processes.
The council was also risking potential legal charges, wasn't there, Vince, of up to 200,000 and fines 10,000 daily if you failed to comply. Is it right to date the council's spent about 110,000 on legal efforts over this?
We got informed yesterday it was about 100,000. Yes.
100,000. Any regrets, Vince, to spend this money?